Now, with video footage, my lord, it needs to be authenticated that it represents accurately what it purports to be depicting. Now, if only that it shows its action and not words, no oral utterances, I'm still standing, my lord, that without utterances, the Hearsay Act does not apply, my lord. Now, the second aspect, my lord, is, and just to concretize this point, is the one that Mr. Minister touches on. Mr. Longwetwala is alive, my lord. In fact, my lord, if I go back in 2023, before Mr. Host testified, we received an email from Advocate Baloyi informing us that we must prepare that because they were going to call, amongst others, that Monday, Longwetwala, Jack Buthelezi, and Mr. Host, Colonel Host. And about 10 was made later to say, no, prepare only for Jack Buthelezi and Mr. Host, my lord. I understand, my lord. I've been practicing for 100 years. The state is dominus litis. Why they decided at the last minute to withdraw Mr. Longwe to come and testify is their own prerogative, my lord. But the point that I'm making, he's still alive and kicking. And but what we have read in the media, my lord, he's sobering up from whatever is afflicting him. So he's a comparable witness to be called and testify on this aspect, whether or not he was shot at and injured on the 26th of October 2014, my lord.
So that is the question there that was put by Advocate Ramsey Pili as he was questioning, this video footage that was being brought forward by Advocate Baloyi. Now, the first question that comes to mind is that why did the state, remove Longwetwala from their witness list in 2023, despite, his direct presence at the crime scene? Obviously, the official reason wasn't disclosed, but you can see from another angle that it was kind of like a strategic move by the state to avoid calling a witness whose testimony might not align with their story. Since Longwetwala was right there during the incident, his first-hand account, could either support or undermine the state's case. So withdrawing him in this instance, obviously, it raised eyebrows. But the other question is, why is the state relying on a 2024 rebroadcast video rather than the direct testimony from Longwetwala, or even the actual video in itself, instead of a rebroadcast video that has been re-edited? Obviously, it's a strategy in itself, even though it's kind of odd. But in so doing, you'd be avoiding to put Longwetwala under cross-examination. Because if you bring a human being, right, because in that video there was Longwetwala and Zandile Khumalo, if you bring Zandile Khumalo or Longwetwala to testify about how Longwe was walking, then Longwetwala would be subjected to cross-examination. And I'm sure, as we have seen, in other court cases, and even in this Mayor case, cross-examination is not for the weak. Is the witness directly being questioned, and the questions would not be straightforward or easy questions. Those would be really, really tough questions. And I saw that, especially in that case of Mengo and Mbenenge, you could see that those questions were really tough. And for somebody like Longwetwala, who is kind of like not stable, like mentally, putting him under cross-examination, he can finally crack and even say something nobody's even expecting. So it was kind of like strategic, to avoid exposing Longwetwala to that cross-examination. So even though the defense is arguing that the state was kind of like anticipating that Longotola's version of events might conflict with their narrative, but the key point is that they just didn't want to expose Longwe to that tough cross-examination. So despite all of that, Longwe Twala himself, he was willing to testify. He has never refused to testify. He is even gone on interviews. There is an interview of him on Metro FM where he spoke about what happened. So the guy is there and available, but it's just that it's strategic, not to bring him forward. But the kind of crazy part now on the side of the state is the lack of an explanation or notice to the court that Longotwala has been dropped from the list. So no formal notice or explanation was given to the court, So that is unusual in high-profile trials. So the defense, that's why they were bringing this fact up during that argument, by highlighting that lack of transparency from the prosecution about such an important witness removal. But on the other hand, however, there is no strict rule that the court must be notified every time a witness is dropped. But however, transparency is like a core principle in high-profile criminal trials. So definitely, Advocate Baloyi, I'm sure he didn't want to explain, publicly on that they removed Longotwala, especially in the trial, being covered publicly like this. It was going to paint them in a certain way. Because the thing is that people would always ask questions, and people would be like, what else is being kept from us? They're hiding. What are they doing? People start asking all these sort of questions. Because currently in the Meiwa trial, every decision, it's like it's opening a door to suspicion. So looking overall at the state and how they presented their evidence, this specific part of like answering this alternative version of Longotwala having shot himself in the foot, they did not clearly deal with it effectively. Their way of dealing it with that video footage, it's not satisfactory, at least from my point of view. In all the other points and all the other cases, they did their best. But on this one, the way they're answering it with regards to the footage, it's not, satisfactory enough. Because the argument by Ramsipil is very, very strong. Longotwala is out there. He is alive. He is fit. Just bring him forward and let him speak for himself. Don't speak on his behalf. I'll catch you guys on the next one.